Event is starting, and we're live. Hey guys, you're watching Tech Radar. Basil here.
And John.
And John, last time we were here, we didn't know what we were talking about, did we?
We didn't, but it turns out we also did.
We did. What were we talking about?
iPhone 8, iPhone 8 Plus, and the iPhone X. We brought you the rumours just before launch. It's now post-launch. We've had time to digest. We've had time for it to all flush over us.
Almost
all the
48
instant
hours.
Rage is
Loads of rage.
Has sort of washed away now, and we can look at it a little bit more pragmatically.
Yeah. It's like really mixed reaction, isn't it? Like on the one hand, you have people like, yes, we've got a new looking iPhone, and then on the other, you have like, but we're not going to get it until November, and two of the other iPhones are quite similar to the old ones, but they're different too.
They are different, but also the same.
Yes.
Initial look, a quick eye up, and yes, it looks like a 7 and a 7 Plus and a 6S.
Turn it around.
Spin it around. It's got a nice shiny glass back, and yes, the back is new. Glass, not the first time we see glass on the phone, but the big thing that the glass back is wireless charging.
Yeah.
Now, okay, we know not another new thing in terms of mobile, but in the world of iPhone, and if you're someone who only really has owned iPhones and only really cares about iPhones, that's a big deal. That's a new cool feature. Wireless charging is super useful. There's only a few phones that do it, but when I use those phones, sort of the Samsungs and stuff, it's a nice feature and one I like to use.
It definitely is. And like Apple claims that glass is the strongest glass in the world. Okay, they didn't say that, but they said that it's the strongest glass on any smartphone, which is a really bold claim.
Especially when you've got the Moto Z2 Force with the unbreakable screen. I mean, exactly. Drop tests, hello.
I think because there are so many iPhones, they're ubiquitous. They clock that Apple's become synonymous with smashed screens, and they really want to tackle that head on, because if you've got a smashed screen and you're getting a new iPhone, then you don't want a double smashed iPhone.
Exactly, that's the risk, isn't it? You know, it's two sides are smashable this time, which some people would be like, oh my god, I always smash my iPhone screen, now I can smash the back of it. What is going on, Apple? So yeah, hopefully it's super tough. The wireless charging, okay, not a game changer, but convenience wise, if you buy a charging pad, great. The charging pads, however, are looking $55 55 UK pounds if you're going to buy it officially.
But doesn't it work with the standard Qi wireless charger?
It does. QI. So we assume that Apple has gone fully sort of ubiquitous with it and will open it up and it will be available for any QI charger. So that includes if you've got it built into your car. Some of the newer cars, I was driving an Audi A5
if you've got it built into your Starbucks store.
Yeah,
excellent.
Brilliant.
If you have one of those lying around.
McDonald's as well, another big chain that Apple was keen to push and say it's gonna work with all of these. So yeah, you can pick up chargers for cheap if you don't go through the Apple Direct ones. The Apple ones though are slightly higher throughput in terms of power, so it will get a slightly quicker charger, sort of 7.5 watts.
And
a lot of the
there's
others
that
are
magic charger that charges everything all at once that's coming out at the end of this year.
But you can already buy pads, like Samsung has got a cheap pad already out if you don't want to wait. But yeah, that will do your AirPods, your watch, new Watch 3 as well. We'll talk about that very quickly, and your phone as well. So that's great. So iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and the iPhone X all have that wireless charging. Quickly staying on the design of the 8 and the 8 Plus.
Before you carry on that, just a quick shout out to everyone in the room. So, hello, Aman. iPhone X is too much money for the price in India. So no,
you're not alone there. It's too much money for a lot of people in a lot of countries.
Price. Anyway, he's asking, and we'll come on to this at the end. Bank this one.
Okay.
iPhone X or no 8. So we've banked that. We're going to come on to your questions at the end.
Great question.
Akram Sada, hey Kevin S. Thank you guys for jumping in this room. Parmood was the first viewer according to Parmood Kumar.
Fist bump.
And then Sylvester wants to know which one is better, iPhone 8, the X or Note 8, the Galaxy S8. At the end of this, we'll thwack together a whole load of which ones are better. A couple quick more shout outs. Gabor Lega, I think Apple are going to sell less iPhones because of the high price tag. Fewer. They've always had high price tags though. After Samsung, Apple after Samsung's Infinity Display, LG's Full Vision, Samsung is lagging. Apple is lagging. Get it right, Basil. But we're going to come on to the iPhone X in a bit. First off, I think it's probably best we talk about the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus. Give them some credit because they're getting massively backburnered now. But these phones have got some new elements, right?
Yeah, so we've done the glass back, we've done the wireless charging. The screen, it's the same size and resolutions as the 7 and 7 Plus, so 4.7 and 5.5. But there is new stuff in there still.
Okay, but it's full HD resolution, and then that weird resolution. So
Retina.
It's Retina, but still under 400 pixels per inch on the regular one.
Yep.
That's the lowest resolution you're going to get for a phone of that price. What could possibly be new about this? Does it have HDR?
No, it doesn't.
I don't think it does. So,
No.
like, what is new? What's going to justify me paying like £699 for a phone with a less than full HD screen and no HDR?
A great question, Basil, but it's using the same technology as you find in the iPad Pros now. The screen, if you have been able to see the new iPad Pro, the screen is really impressive in terms of colour reproduction, colour brightness, the colour gamut with the wide range of colours. So even though the screen is the same on paper, actually visually it looks brighter, it looks more colourful, the contrast is improved, so you do get a better viewing experience. Now, it's not going to be as great as maybe the Samsungs which use AMOLED, but iPhone X has jumped on that train as well, so we'll come to that. So the screens are improved, but not massively so. It's everything about what's new about these phones is incremental in a classic Apple way. There are several incremental upgrades which together, you know, make
so
a nice
why not
package.
call it the S? Why not call it the 7S?
For sure, I think Apple's going to try and move away from the whole numbers eventually anyway. You know, calling the iPhone X, they came out on stage and said it's the iPhone 10, but it's written X. It's already a confusing message straight up, and it sort of feels like they're gearing up to drop any other numbers or letters afterwards, like they did with MacBook and MacBook Pro. And like they have more recently done with iPad, it's just iPad and iPad Pro. They've dropped the numbers. There's no Air, there's no 2, there's nothing of that. They're keeping it clean.
No one's made the joke 789 yet, have they? As in 7, 9, because there's not going to be a 9.
7, 8, 9.
7,
yes.
8, 9.
Yeah. Huh?
I think I'm funny. So, like, in terms of the design, though, you've got that metal frame, but you've got the same aspect ratios. You have Touch ID under the screen, right? So you do still have a fingerprint scanner.
Touch ID is not under the screen.
Under the screen when you're looking at it.
In the bezel below the screen. Yeah, don't get excited, people.
No. Oh gosh, if we'd seen that on the X, it would have been a very different conversation after that announcement. Around the back, you've got a single camera on the regular iPhone. You've got a dual camera setup on the iPhone 7, the 8 Plus. But it's the same general looking and feeling phone.
Again, on paper, the cameras look the same. The 8, for example, 12 megapixel rear snapper. But Apple has told us it's done more under the hood. The pixels are bigger, it pulls in more light, it's got better contrast, it has a cool sort of...
And one thing that it can absolutely
lighting mode.
So the portrait lighting mode's on the Plus only, but all of these iPhones can record full HD video at 240 frames per second.
60 frames per second, 240 at 1080p.
That's what I said. 1080p.
Did you?
Yeah. The 4K 60 frames per second, and no other phone can do that. No other phone. So that's like really, really cool. Any videographer out there, you've got optical image stabilization on that main camera, and not the second one. For that, you'll want to jump up to the iPhone X. But that in itself, 240 frames per second, full HD. Really, really cool. So they have worked on the camera. They've put a new processor in there as well, the A11. They say it's the most powerful processor in the world. Augmented reality stuff. I say, and tell me if you agree or disagree with me, the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus are for people who have iPhone 7s or 7 Pluses and just want an upgrade. They're happy. Or 6s and just want an upgrade. They don't need to have the latest, greatest, but they want to have an almost mindless upgrade and know they're getting a good phone.
If you've got a 6 or a 6S, the 8 is a good jump up for you.
Yeah.
You will notice the difference. You'll notice improvements in the display, in the cameras, maybe in the design. Also, brand new Apple A11 Bionic chip under the hood. 70% faster GPU versus the iPhone 7, so your graphics are going to be even smoother, going to be richer, they're going to be quicker, going to lower load time, so it should be slicker as well. So if you've got the 6S and you're like, oh, is it worth it? And you're coming to the end of your contract, then sure.
Which you will be. So anyone who's got one of the old iPhones on launch day, you'll be coming to the end of your contracts now. I'd imagine you'd be pretty annoyed, because this is when I got my iPhone. Like, it was like 2 years ago, so I'm coming to the end of my contract. And I want to upgrade to the X. I mean, I don't, because I don't want to pay £1,000, but I also do because this is my job. I love doing this stuff, and so I want to invest in it, but I can't until November. I'm having like 3-4 months of downtime paying my contract unnecessarily in my eyes.
Yeah, that is the world of the... You can't be guaranteed when phones launch, and the X is a very different iPhone. It moves away from the norm, and maybe the security people have come to like from iPhones. When you get an iPhone, you know how it works. You know what it looks like. You know it's going to do what you want it to do.
Yeah.
If you're entrenched in the iPhone world, the iPhone X changes it up a bit. And yeah, for the most part, for the better. And whether the 8 is definitely a safe option if you want to go and try and get a safe option in there.
Yeah, we've got some shout outs.
Yes.
The British Unknown,
Yes.
also known as John Porter. Hello. Rupert Sugar, he's bought a Note 8. It's cheaper and does more. Does more? Probably does do more.
Yeah.
But the question will be, does it do it better? And we'll only really find that out when we get these phones in full review. We have
Good choice, though.
Good
No,
choice.
it's solid
Good
phone.
choice. Yeah,
Good
yeah.
choice.
Check out our review. James reviewed that video, reviewed it, and Matt in the States, and both of them freaking loved it.
And if you're good at drawing, check out Basil's sketch he did on the Note 8, because if you're an artist, then it's a great little device to sketch on the go.
Good for Game of Thrones fans as well. So the British Unknown wants to know, do you think that the S9 will have a display like the iPhone X, seeing as Samsung is manufacturing them, i.e. with a little notch, or do you think Samsung will stick to doing Samsung?
I think Samsung will stick to doing Samsung. It will probably try and not be so, oh my god, that's an Apple thing you've done. I mean, Samsung's Infinity Display is pretty darn good, and I don't
Better
mind.
on paper? It's sharper.
It's definitely, yeah.
It's quad HD resolution versus Apple's better than
Absolutely.
full HD resolution.
Yep.
So you've got like 570 something pixels per inch versus 420 something, and that's just like, or 30 something, yeah.
And you know what? I don't mind those really slender bezels at the top and bottom of the phone, and when you hold landscape, it's somewhere to rest your thumbs. Apple's palm detection is generally pretty good, so I don't see it being an issue on the iPhone X.
Yeah.
But Samsung's doing its own thing, and it made big waves early this year when it launched that. I mean, it really caught people's imagination. You see it in the flesh; it looks pretty darn futuristic. Now, I'm expecting the iPhone X probably looks quite very similar in terms of that's a future phone. It's not an iPhone.
Definitely.
Like the 8, it's just that's an iPhone.
Yeah.
But the X is just like, okay, it's going to make you double take.
Yeah, the iPhone, the 8 looks like an iPhone with a shiny back, but check out our hands-on comparison video. That's where Gareth got his hands on it in the States, and he was like using it, and it's so, when we were editing the video, we saw really tangibly editing the iPhone footage compared to the iPhone 8 footage versus the iPhone X footage. It was just so much more beautiful, so much more beautiful. So yeah, I really want to see that in the flesh. We have a question from the actual John Porter. iPad Pro has 144 Hz screen. Is this going to come to iPhones?
We don't know.
We don't know.
But I'd say it's unlikely.
Very unlikely if it's going to come to, if like Apple is going to keep pushing AMOLEDs. We said this in our last show. It's easier to get high hertz screens on IPS displays than it is on OLED displays.
Those are the LCDs, which Apple's used in all the other iPhones. So you know, if it was going to do it anywhere, it would be on the 8 at the moment, but
which they wouldn't do because it's not the most premium. They don't want to out premium their premium. So we've got a few more questions. Will Apple's AR kit be more successful than Android's #AR Core?
Well, they're both still very much in their infancies, and to be honest, we've not seen a great deal about either. You go on Apple's. I was on Apple's website today, just browsing the product pages for the 8 and also product page for iOS 11, and there are mentions about augmented reality, but it's no more than 20 words on each page. Apple has launched this. It's shown us a couple of really cool demos,
and they did look really cool,
but they've not told us much about it really. Apart from that, you know, ARKit is developer tools. It's not for us people on the front end buying the devices and using it. That stuff's to come.
That's going to be the games. So that there's a Games Workshop game in the works. There's also that like really awesome game that they showcased at the launch event. They showcased, you pointed at the stars, and rather than a Google Sky, whatever it's called, where it kind of plots stars randomly, this one will actually overlay the stars where the stars are in the real world. And in fact, Tasmim Tanviz asked a really good question, which we kind of take for granted. Everyone knows what AR is who's watching this. What is augmented reality? Do you want to take this one?
Sure. So you may have heard of virtual reality. It's all the craze at the moment. The big headsets that you put on your face and you completely shut off from the outside world, and you have an experience right in front of your eyes, and it's great. You can turn around and see everything. Augmented reality is sort of a step removed from that. It's between real world and the virtual world. If you've played Pokemon Go, one of the popular things, that has AR at a basic level. If you're going to catch a Pokemon, you can choose to have your camera open and then hold your phone up, and it looks like the Pokemon's sitting in your house or on the street or in the park or wherever you are. That's augmented reality. It's augmenting a digital image onto real life using the camera on the back of your device and obviously all the processing power inside. So it's that merging. Google Glass is another good example of augmented reality, putting real-time information in front of your eyes on top of the real world. Another example is Microsoft HoloLens.
Yep.
A sort of bigger pair of Google Glasses that you can look at a table like the table in front of us here, and it will
construct
create
stuff.
Exactly, it will just turn that table into like a Minecraft land or something. It's cool.
It's cool, but it isn't here, at least not for the everyday man, in terms of like the HoloLens type stuff. But it is in terms of the Pokemon Go type stuff, and I think it's the bridge that manufacturers and developers need to make in order to make it kind of stick. Pokemon Go smashed it, but the first thing most people who play Pokemon Go do when they open the game is turn off AR, because it's not the AR that sells it.
No.
So if that's what AR is in a nutshell. Awesome explanation.
The bottom line is, though, if Apple does something, generally the industry gets more excited about it. Apple generally doesn't do stuff first. Okay, Google did AR Core before AR Kit, really, but with Apple's backing, because it's such an influential company, like it or loathe it, it does have a big sway in where technology goes.
Definitely.
So now Apple's making a huge play in AR. That can only be a good thing for the wider world. So it's going to be a good thing for Google, and Google doing it is a good thing for Apple. And then if everyone's developing for both platforms, ultimately that's good for us, because we'll have loads more cool experiences. The boundaries are going to be extra pushed. We're going to see some really cool stuff, hopefully, in the coming sort of 6 months, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, wireless charging, that's what we expect will happen. As John said, chains like McDonald's, they did it with fingerprint scanners. They were the first to like make the touch fingerprint scanners completely ubiquitous. Prior to that, remember the HTC One Max with the sliding fingerprint scanner? That was a really bad user experience. They've also done it with high resolution screens. We're bitching and moaning now that they haven't got like quad HD displays, but actually the Retina display was the first over 300 pixel per inch screen. So that Apple does make stuff ubiquitous, like John said, like it or loathe it. But one thing that they haven't done is stuff like a pen, like the Note 8. But we'll come on to like how it stacks up, because I think how it stacks up against the Note 8 and the S8 is in itself a video. But let's carry on talking about a few other aspects of the phone, specifically the specs under the hood and how they vary across them all. So they all come with either 64 or 256 gigabytes of storage.
Correct.
They all come with Apple's A11 chipset.
They do. A11 Bionic, if you want to give it its full name.
Bionic. Exactly. The RAM has been guessed at 3 gigabytes.
I wouldn't be surprised if the X has an extra gig on top of the 8 and the 8 Plus. That would kind of make sense. We've seen 4 in the iPad Pro, the latest ones, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if the X follows that.
We'd hope so for that kind of money.
But Apple does never disclose these, so we'll have to wait for the teardowns in a week or
which
two.
Which is when we'll see the battery capacities as well.
Which is another big one.
Because we don't know anything about the battery except for the fact that the X lasts 2 hours longer than the 7 did.
Okay, and if you look on Apple's site, it also says that the 8 has the same battery life as the 7, and vice versa. So, not an improvement, which is a slight disappointment, really.
Yeah, because you'd have hoped, even if they kept the capacity exactly the same, that the A11 chip would have been more efficient, just like the Snapdragon 835 is so much more efficient than the 821 before it. So maybe even Apple's been known to drop the battery capacity. Maybe getting that glass back on there has taken up a little bit more space.
Wireless charging
adding
as
wireless
well.
charging. Maybe the battery capacity in milliamps has taken a hit and the A11 is more efficient. Again, we'll have to wait for the teardown in order to find that out.
It's worth noting that the X is chunky as well. I think chunkier than the iPhone 5, in fact, which suggests hopefully a decent sized battery.
Yeah, it suggests it, so fingers crossed. But it's still thinner than the Samsung Galaxy S8 because none of these have headphone jacks. So anyone who is hoping they would make a comeback and Apple would have seen the error of their ways. Sorry, guys.
AirPods for you.
AirPods for you. And no, you can't afford them because I can't. No. So we've also got other stuff. So the new iPhone X's cameras. We spoke about the back cameras. Well, actually, we didn't touch on the fact that the iPhone X's back camera is different from the iPhone 8 Plus because first off, the camera array has gone from to horizontal to vertical. Second off, you've got optical image stabilization in both lenses and a wider aperture than the iPhone 8 Plus and the telephoto lens. So it's f2.4 as opposed to f2.8. So it should handle low light a lot better between that wider aperture. And that was like the main criticism of the iPhone 7 Plus. That second lens didn't handle low light well. But what about the front camera?
I don't know. I can't remember.
On the iPhone
so
X.
exciting.
No, well, I mean, like, it's got Face ID, right? So
yes,
they can do all the cool modes. So, like,
Yeah,
what
you
can we
can-
expect from it?
first up is Face ID itself, which unlocks your phone. Also, it's replacing Touch ID, and that's replacing. Touch ID isn't also on it, like you get on the Note 8, for example, where it
Yeah.
does your face and your fingerprint. It's just the face, which is going to be interesting to see
Yeah.
how accurate and how good it is, and how much distance you can put between yourself and the phone for it to work. It's it's maybe the most contentious point of the new phone.
Yeah.
You know, Face Unlock is cool. Apple says it's using infrared cameras, so doing it in really low light shouldn't be an issue because
No.
it should still be able
It's
to
got
see
a
your face.
dot projector. It's got a proximity sensor. It's got a high resolution camera. It's 7 megapixels. So actually, that's the same resolution as the iPhone 8 Plus. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same sensor, just with all the added gubbins.
It'll be interesting to see. You know, I usually have during the day, my phone is on my desk to my side next to my keyboard, and sometimes don't pick it up. I'll just sort of put my finger on the scanner on the front or the side, using a Sony at the moment, so on the side, and I'll just sort of swipe through it on the side of my desk. Now, I'm only sort of like side glancing it. My face
Yeah.
isn't over the phone. Will the iPhone be able to pick up my face, or every time am I going to have to be like?
Yeah, I mean, short of
Because that's
having...
going to be annoying.
It is going to be annoying. It was annoying when reviewing. I don't know if you reviewed the S8 Plus or Note 8.
Yes.
But even that, when you tried to use the iris scanner, I switched that off instantly. My favorite thing in the world became trusted devices, whether it was wireless headphones or a watch with Bluetooth connected. So for anyone who doesn't know, in any Android device, I think it's above Android 6, you can pair a trusted device and it keeps the phone unlocked, and that's any Bluetooth device. This does work with the iPhone and the Apple Watch, so if you've got an Apple Watch, then you're in luck. I don't know if it works with wireless headphones and stuff, if it's as versatile as it is with...
I don't know, but you know, it wouldn't probably be too much hassle for Apple to make it work with AirPods, for example.
And I'm going to say something contentious.
Ooh.
It wouldn't be the first thing that they pulled from Android. And hear me out. I'm going to start talking about the user interface of the iPhone X. The iPhone X now, pull down from the top right, you get your quick toggles.
Mm-hmm.
Seen that before.
We have.
Pull down from the top middle, you get your notifications. Seen that before. And pull up from the bottom. Remember the Palm Pre?
Yes.
Palm Pre, BlackBerry, like
BB10.
BB10.
Yep.
Pull up from the bottom for multitasking.
Or home.
Or home.
Yeah.
So what Apple's done is they've looked at touch OSs and user interfaces that haven't had home buttons to rely on and borrowed a bit from that, and I'm kind of okay with that.
That's kind of okay. Everyone borrows from everyone because some implementations just work and they make sense.
And virtually every Android phone now that isn't strict Google, pull down on any home screen and you get a universal search, which is what Apple brought in, and I love that.
Yep.
Sony does it.
Yep. It's going to be interesting though, because if you buy the iPhone X and you've always had iPhone, that's going to be a big interface shift for you. Your thumb's just going to be like, what am I doing?
Oh my god, it's going to be like crack, because this is going to be like, I want something new. You'll actually get it.
Yeah, you'll actually have to learn your iPhone again, and I'm sure people who have had iPhones for years, you've not learned an iPhone since your first iPhone, because it's just pick up, it's like, yep, this won't like the last one, which is some of the charm of the iPhone. It just works, and that's what Apple sort of sells it on. And yeah, it doesn't work for everyone, but you know, people who just want something simple and quick and does the basics well, that's great. But yeah, you're going to have to relearn it. It's not going to take long. We're not talking about like, you know, rocket science here, but it's going to feel weird. And also, if you're a fan of those quick settings, and I certainly am, that's a pain. 5.8-inch screen to get your really thumb top corner. That's a two-hand job, people.
It is.
You ain't going to be doing that one-handed.
It's a two-hand job. Oh no, I've dropped my £1,000 phone.
And I've smashed both sides. Why, Apple? Why? But yeah, so and I've always kind of had an issue with Apple insisting putting back buttons top left corner, like especially if you're right-handed, that's diagonally opposite left-handed. It's still difficult, especially on the on the pluses, which are tall with all the bezel. Like I've always had a problem, and they had reachability. They've got reachability in the 7s, and I assume the 8 as well.
How are they going to do that in the X?
Is there reachability?
Is there
that's a great question.
Double swipe up? I don't know.
Exactly. Or are you?
But there is. Do you know actually? There's a button on the right-hand side.
There is.
So maybe double tap that button. But even then, it's
clunky, isn't it?
It does feel
it's clunky because you're taking away from. You just want to be here with your thumb doing your shiz like this.
You do. We have questions.
Yes, hit us with some questions.
Right. So first one, what do I do? Please suggest. I have a 7 Plus upgrade or not?
I would say not. I would say hold off. I mean, let's wait I've been talking to loads of manufacturers and chipset makers, etc., over the past year, talking about the under-screen fingerprint scanner. The fingerprint scanner literally under the screen, not below it in the bezel, but under it. Cool stuff. And I've been reliably told that 2018, we're going to see a number of phones with this technology.
Samsung Galaxy S9.
Maybe. They couldn't be drawn on which phones, but it sounds like the tech is ready for next year. So, if you've got a 7 Plus, the 8 Plus, not that much of a jump.
Yeah.
The X, a lot of money. Why not wait an extra year? The 7 Plus was going to get iOS 11.
An extra like 4 months and see what's like MWC brings.
Yeah. If you see the likes of LG, HTC, Samsung in the first 4 months of next year bring out the things with the under-screen tech, then there's a good chance Apple's going to follow suit come September.
For sure. Definitely. Oh, that's super exciting. So for anyone who doesn't have backstory on it, Samsung well, this is all completely conjecture. Samsung wanted to get it into the Galaxy S8, which is why they had to resort to it in the back. Synaptech is the technology that makes the fingerprint scanner tech that is in pretty much all phones, and they couldn't do it in time for the Galaxy S8 or the iPhone X. And so if they can, that will be something that a lot of manufacturers have really, really been hoping for. A fingerprint scanner nuzzled within an infinity display or a full vision or whatever it is.
The tech is already here. It's there. It works. It's working. There's two main compromises. It's price point for the end handset because it's still an expensive technology because it's early doors. And the second one is design. It's going to make your phone a bit thicker. To put that technology in, you're going to have less space inside. So what other things do you compromise on to fit it in, or do you make a design compromise? So there's lots of things for the manufacturers to work out, and that's why it's taken its time to get here. Earlier this year, there was a working demo on a Meizu or a Xiaomi handset. So it's there, it's working. We've seen it work. There's just those compromises that manufacturers need to iron out. So 2018 should be a big year for that stuff, and a good year if you've got a 7 Plus. Worth holding on another 12 months.
Yeah, I totally agree. Pavan Ganesh says, you good?
I'm good.
Good.
How are
Thanks,
you?
Pavan.
Let us know in the comments.
We're good. So we've had another 7 Plus or 8. That seems to be a common one. So the 7 Plus, or the 8 is better than the 7 Plus or the 8 Plus. But I'd say hold out. If you have a 6, just like John said.
Yeah, I mean, if you're asking whether you should buy the 7 Plus or the 8 Plus, then again, what's your budget like? How precious are you about having wireless charging and the newest iPhone? If you want to save a few bucks and you don't have to have the latest thing, then the 7 Plus is still an excellent device. As we say, it's going to get iOS 11 on the 19th, right?
Yeah. It lands, did they say whether it would get the portrait lighting mode?
I don't know.
I really hope it does, because technically, unless it's anything reliant upon the new GPU or the graphics or the A11, but you just love saying the word bionic. The British Unknown says, Basil, did you see my meme I sent you on Twitter? I didn't, and I'm not going to check now in fear, but I will check when we jump off this. Thank you. I'm kind of terrified, kind of excited. Goran Petrovic says, if LG is smart and the V30 is priced right, around 700, 750 euros, which it is going to be priced at. Yeah. So we already know that. All other phones will be exposed as they are, monstrously overpriced.
I mean, LG is an interesting one. It's one of the sort of dark horses, maybe, of the race. Everyone talks about Apple and Samsung, but LG, the V30, that's a really good phone as well. A really good phone.
Yeah, and it's beautiful.
Keep an eye on. Yeah.
And it has a 3,300 milliamp battery. Glass. So it's funny, actually. Doing the show yesterday, and I was talking about the fact that V30, 18:9 aspect ratio. iPhone X, 18:9 aspect ratio. V30, glass front and back, wireless charging. iPhone, exactly the same. V30, 4 gig of RAM. So that spec comparison side by side, dual camera on both. No dual OIS on both, I'll give you that. But you can get the V30 and a cheap weekend away for the price, actually, and not that cheap weekend away to somewhere sunny for the price of an iPhone X. And I know which I'd take at this stage, but I haven't got an iPhone X in my hands, so hopefully that will change soon. Right, a couple of more questions. iPhone X screen cutout bit at the top. Do you think that's going to annoy you? That's from Simon Says.
You know what? I've been mulling this over for ages, and as soon as they announced it, I was just like, our app's going to have to be specifically developed for it. That's going to slow down the apps being turned out and updated for it. So we've had some insights into what it's doing. when you're web browsing, it looks like you're going to get 2 white bars either side of your web browser, so it pulls it in so it doesn't cover the screen that you're viewing, but you're losing out at the extra bits of the screen. Kind of annoying, kind of not though. We've seen it in action. It's fine. The only issue is if you hold it in landscape with the cutout on the right hand side in landscape, then your scroll bar of your browser disappears behind the cutout as you go down. Ooh. So if you're someone who likes to the scroll bar,
that's a really good point.
I mean, it's easy to rectify.
And they're not going to make a scroll bar, they'll just bump it over.
No, and the thing is, it's easy to rectify. You just 180 it and have the cutout on the left, and it's fine. But it's just something like that. It doesn't feel particularly Apple. Apple's really good at finessing stuff.
But it isn't final software.
No, it's out in November, and so I would expect things still to be finessed, and I'm sure they're going to speak to app developers and encourage them to do things. Also, videos, we've seen some video playback where the video goes full screen, YouTube videos especially, and the notch is over your YouTube video. Okay, it's a very small part of the screen, and nothing really happens on the side over here, but if you're watching a movie and it's going to do that, it's going to be kind of annoying.
I'd hope that they have a Samsung option where they just have one little dotted square where you can just press it, and it changes the crop factor.
Well, you see, Gareth's told us that he watched a video rather than a YouTube video. He's watched a video, and it cropped it so the notch wasn't in the way, so that's fine. But people are reporting that if you just generally just go YouTube video full screen, that happens. And
that's just hit the point you said home. The apps will probably need to be optimized.
Maybe,
and they will be, because Apple is investing a huge amount in this.
And even in portrait mode, they showed us quickly during the launch the weather app. And it had extra icons either side of the notch, and it looked nice and clean. There was obviously nothing being hidden, but that's an
optimization.
And something else for app developers to think about.
You are absolutely right. So a couple of people were saying that Craig, during his presentation demo, it obviously failed, but Apple gave a reason for that today, didn't they?
Yeah, they gave a reason, and you know what? I'm inclined to believe them, because it makes sense. They basically said Face ID worked as expected, and if you're like, but it didn't work, have they made it broken on purpose? No. So what they're saying is this phone got handed around several people backstage before it went on stage with Craig, and each time someone looked at it, it was basically scanning their face, and because it wasn't Craig, that was a failed login. Now, the same with Touch ID. Enough failed logins, and it will require you to enter your password. So Craig basically had to enter his password, but he hadn't known that it'd been locked behind screen because it was just left for him on the desk. He picked it up, looked at it, and it was like, "Oh, I need your password." He picked up the second device, which obviously hadn't been passed around quite so much, and bam, he was in straight away. So that is what Apple says happened. It's a believable thing. If you've got an iPhone with Touch ID, if you get your mate to hammer it about 5 or 6 times, it will go, "Oh no, you're either locked out for a minute, or we need your password." So that's fine, we can understand that. Also remember, the phone isn't out till November. The 8 and the 8 Plus are out next week. You can literally have one in your hand, which suggests that maybe the iPhone X needs a little bit of extra time for that software finessing. Exactly, for apps, for video,
and
maybe
for app developers.
ID.
Now that it's official, only now can app developers actually start refining their apps for this phone. And I'm not talking the most premium ones that they've already had working on this. And this buffer period between now and November is probably for them to make sure that the App Store is iPhone X ready.
Yes.
So we have had a couple more points comments. Gabor Lega, who's been pretty vocal, thank you dude, awesome, says, for the price we can blame Brexit. And actually you are kind of right, because the last iPhone was the first post-Brexit iPhone, and it was priced higher than the prior iPhones in terms of it went like meh. So yeah, the price is probably
it is slightly Brexit, but it's expensive anyway. If you remember, in the US, the iPhone X says it's starting at $999 US dollars, but that's without the 10% tax. So actually, it's more than that in the US as well. And sure, even after that, you do a straight currency conversion, it's less than what we're going to be paying for it. But at the same
always
time,
been the way for Apple products.
If you're going to be buying an iPhone X, how many people are going to be buying it straight up for $999, and how many people are going to get it on contract for 2 years, which you're going to be paying quite a lot a month and a bit up front, but that softens the blow. It's an expensive phone. It's going to be an expensive contract.
How much do you reckon it's going to be on contract?
We're probably looking £50 to £60.
Oh, I think more.
A month with a couple of hundred down.
Yeah, I'd say at least like that. At least 6, if you'd want like 150 down. Because the reason I say this, the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, isn't it like 60 with 100 down?
There we are.
And that's like 200 less or something. So yeah, it's just a huge amount of money. So we're gonna have to really wait till November for to see when the contracts start rolling out though. But the iPhone X 8 and 8 Plus you can pre-order from tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. Pre-orders open tomorrow if you fancy it.
If you do.
Lots of deals on our website as well. Just type in iPhone 8 deals, iPhone 8 Plus deals, TechRadar, and we've got all the best deals for UK and US especially, from networks and from retailers. So to get the very best prices and packages, check out our site.
Just threw that in there. One thing we haven't talked about, Animojis.
Animojis.
Do you care?
No.
No.
No, I mean, it's cool. It's another sort of AR kind of experience, showing off the face recognition stuff. It is impressive. Okay, so you can make your face a panda or the smiley poo, and as you talk, they will talk as you are, and they'll do all your facial expressions. It's cool. It is good. Like the alien, Tim Cook, when he signed off, did like the eyebrow raise and like the whole alien head basically rose, and it was cool. Like it's a little insight into what AR can do and what these phones can do. And it's a sign of the future. Is it going to be the purchasing decision for anyone? Unlikely,
and in fact that's cool. Like what everyone's pretty much, a lot of people in the chat room. So just a couple of shout outs: L Silver, Sorrow Zombies, £1,000 to make a poo emoji.
I mean, I'm kind of with you.
Yeah, we're all kind of with you on that. So I think 25th October is the date for iPhone X pre-orders. Thanks for that, Mike Donington.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, and in Mersha and in Nojis, he just doesn't like it. Long and short, the iPhone 8 and iPhone 8 Plus, even though they're the least exciting, are solid upgrades. What's really going to be contentious is the iPhone X, and we're only really going to know about it after 1st of November or 3rd of November. So until then, it's just conjecture, but we always want to know what you think. So fire any comments in the comments section below. Stay tuned to TechRadar. We're hopefully going to be getting our iPhone 8 and 8 Plus in the next week or two. So the review will be live pretty much within on or around launch day. We'll be working tirelessly. Let us know what videos you want to see as well, and we will do our best to get them done. Thank you guys so much for being so super vocal in the comments section.
Great commenting.
Before we sign off, one final thing which we've avoided this entire time.
Are we doing a one more thing?
We're doing a one more thing.
Basil.
We're doing a one more thing, but
I'm waiting for the crowd to whoop and or holler.
You can whoop.
Okay, go on in, say it.
Before we go, one more thing.
Woo!
Oh, amazing. It's the Samsung Galaxy Note 8. What? We haven't done the comparison. Like the quick...
We haven't.
That was the first question we got. It's the one we've avoided. The iPhone X versus Samsung Galaxy Note 8. And the reason we've avoided it is because it's such a hot topic. The Galaxy Note 8 is cheaper. It offers more screen. It offers a sharper screen. It also offers that dual resolution, dual optical image stabilization on the back cameras. You've got similar effects, albeit with no portrait lighting. And you have a pen, and you all know how much I love me a pen. But which would you get?
Well, I would opt for the Android just because personally I prefer Android. But
the comment section just went crazy.
I know. Oh my god, fanboy! Yeah. Oh my god! Oh my god! But if you're someone who really likes iPhones, you're not going to get the Note 8. And if you're someone who really likes Android, you're not going to get the iPhone X. If you're asking that question, most people, you already kind of know which camp you're in. If you're literally straddling the line, you're like, oh my god, I don't know which one to choose. Really think about what you want from your phone.
Yeah.
Do you want something that you can just pick up, fire off some Snapchats, do a quick snap without having to do any work with it, just kind of works, but looks great, and it's
fits in your pocket.
Fits in your pocket, looks great, futuristic, best of the best. iPhone X.
Yeah.
If you want a phone with a wide breadth of options and features, and you want to get a bit more down and dirty maybe with using your phone in terms of heavy lifting tasks and doing stuff which is a bit more technical possibly, then the Note 8 is where you want to go.
Definitely. I mean, they're so similar in a lot of respects. IP67 on the iPhone versus IP68 on the Note 8. Like I said, you've got the 18:9 aspect ratio, but I mean, like you said, you're an Android guy. I wouldn't say I'm an Android guy necessarily, but I'm definitely a pen guy. And when the Note 8 was announced, I was like, I don't think I'll ever call this phone better value for money. But I think I'm going to call this phone better value for money. It's only really better value for money if you're not sold into iPhone iOS. If you're sold into the iOS camp, all your apps, all your iTunes content, then it'll be an iPhone for you. And if the iPhone 8 and 8 Plus just aren't competitive enough in a sea of 18:9 beautiful looking Androids, then save up, because you got a few months before you have to get a lot of money together for this down payment. So yeah, we're gonna sign off now. You guys have been awesome. Thank you. You're always awesome, John.
Thank you, Basil, and thank you guys.
Have a great day. Again, comment anything you want to know below. Bye.
See ya.